Hello everybody, it's me Farham, we're here with some Path of Exile 2. Today we're going to be taking a look at the budget Javazon. We've stepped it out of League Start, got no exalts at all budget, into we've done some farming, done some maps, we've figured out how to juice, and got that sort of first 10-15 divines under the belt, and we were looking to spend those to make something that's capable of getting some sims done, getting up to tier 4 bossing, maybe not necessarily doing the tier 4 bossing immediately, having a solid damage output and having a good plan for somewhere we're going to go, or options we can go with our defenses as we push into the tier 4 sims where we're going to really need those. So, here we are with a build update. Going to be full path building in the description. Links are now working, so it should just be clickable. You should be able to see everything. It should be absolutely amazing. As I said, the budget on this build is what I'm calling it sort of low to mid at the moment, about 10 to 15 divines. If you wanted to spend a little less than that, if you wanted to get started, there's other videos on the channel about taking this from a league start, as I just said. But do check those out if that's more where you're at. If not, and you got that budget to spend and you're looking to make something that can really rip through the content and really feel good to play, then do I have the build for you. And let's get right on into it with the passive tree. But as we start on the passives, I will say there's going to be a section later on where I talk about the idea of a concept I'm going to call floating points, which are points that are on the tree, but I feel they're not necessarily integral to make the build work, and if you would like to change them to suit playstyle of your own, to get some speed, or maybe go for a support that you like that I don't necessarily like, then those sorts of options are there. This is not a fixed, like, hard and fast tree, and if you change certain bits of it, it's all going to fall. Now, if you change certain bits of it, it'll all fall apart, right? But we're going to talk about the bits that you can change, and we'll do a section focused on that. But for this bit, we're going to talk about exactly how I've got it set up and why. We'll start off with the ascendancies. We are on Amazon. We are going full damage. I've decided the entire shield side is shit. I just don't want to touch it, as Mary Brew just hardly fucking works. Because unless you're missing one life, you can't press your life flask to restore your mana, so that becomes useless. Mystic Harvest, like, what life? We haven't got any life to leech back. Like, what's the point? And Stalking Panther, like, yeah, maybe you could wear it like it. I just don't think it's worth it compared to running. If you want to run acrobatics, which I do, I just don't think this is worth it. You could maybe work it, but build that out of full ES chest, but what you're sacrificing on the damage side for this class, it doesn't feel worth it. You need scraps of damage. You need to pull them all together to get something buildable. So, on our ascendancies, we're going crit strike. Chance to get crit strike in as 25% excess of our hit. With this, we have something like 99.67% crit chance on Storm Lance. I always call it Storm Spear. It's not Storm Lance. And that means we always ignore boss's resistances. There's some synergies that are going to be talking about in the gear section. Go to penetrate, because we're running a huge accuracy weapon. Huge accuracy weapon is the best weapon for the Huntress because of this skill. It's absolutely massive. You don't want to miss this. You want to be penetrating. If you're not penetrating, then I don't know what you're doing. You're probably missing the mark. Predatory Instinct. Following on from that penetrating. 50% more damage against enemies with open weakness. This is 45% of the time you do 50% more damage. Great. It's just a huge damage bonus at certain points. You can push phases through bosses. It's lovely. And Elemental Infusion. This actually does start to end up doing quite a bit of damage because it's proccing all the time, because you're doing frenzy charges like literally all the time as we've got to this stage. You're just constantly shitting out the lightning ones. And we use this basically as a hard support. It applies exposure. We ignore the rest of the resistance and everything. Pretty good. We have a pretty good time. Looking at the tree, we've actually geared up enough that we don't have to take the damage side of the tree and we can save some points. So we've come out through the skill nodes, through the attribute nodes. We've jumped back in to get blur. Bit of a personal choice from me, but the evasion rating is nice and the movement speed is very nice. I like the movement speed. I like to be able to move out of things. As we come up this tree, we grab escape velocity, more movement speed, more evasion rating. Grab cooked, yeah, it nerfs our defenses a little bit, but the crit damage bonus is awesome. As I said, we're running almost 100% crit. Next, we come down and grab catalyst. I think this is one of the sets of floating points. I think you could move these somewhere else if you wanted to, but they do a nice damage bonus, and in fact more so than any other node on the board. So I'd only move them for sort of defensive or utility if you wanted to do that. As we come up, we've got maim. Again, this is, in fact, we're going to cover the floating points here. We're not going to do a special section at all. We're going to do them here because it makes sense. As we come up to maim, I'm running this because I like to run Culling Strike in Elemental Infusion. There's another way you can get Cull, and we'll talk about that in the skills section. If you do decide to get Cull another way, then you could drop these 3 points as well and put those elsewhere. Probably switch them out for crit bonus nodes or something like that. We come down, we grab acceleration and falcon dive, making sure that we're going through the crit chance side now. They are our best nodes. Fill out the spear, everything apart from the tip. Just the tip, but the opposite, everything but the tip. Grab the herald nodes, we're always affected by Herald of Thunder. Gives us a lot of damage, especially with the 24% just before that. We're grabbing enhanced reflexes and bestial skin. This is primarily our defenses. We're running heavy evasion. We're pulling out the entirety of the struck through heartbreaking and heart-stopping node. The entirety of the throat seeker node. Go up and grab Wildstorm, because all of the damage we really care about is lightning. It's the frenzy charged infused Stormlance. Grab Spectral Ward. We're running a full evasion chest, and this is actually where we're getting a lot of our energy shield from. We need enough. We need about 2.6k to not get one shot by things for the content we're doing at the moment. I want to push that up to about 3.2k with better gear, so that when we go up to the tier 4 sims, we should still be about balanced. Everything should be fine there, but we should have a lot of evasion and acrobatics. It should start to feel very good for the high levels. That's going to take a little bit of gear investment around this tree, though. Coming up, we're grabbing True Strike for the Jugular and Deadly Force as well. Heavy crit focus here. Basically, if it's crit, we want it. That's, as you can see as we go around the tree. And then we come around, we pretend we're a monk. We grab Moment of Truth, Essence of the Storm for that extra lightning damage and shock. Crashing Wave, because that's 36% increased damage all the time, because we're always critting. Flow like water, attack and cast speed's good. Grab evasion shield, mindful awareness, and more energy shield and evasion basically, just to try and get this number topped up a bit. The evasion's also very nice. Step like mist, more movement speed. There's a little bit more movement speed here, and if that's what you're into, and for the purposes of the showcase, I'm going to run the tree like this, but a little bit of personal preference, I kind of like to run shimmering, even though the only thing we really benefit from is the 3% move speed, and I know it's inefficient, but you're just faster. I just like going faster. So for my floating points, I kind of like to swap it there. But for the purposes of the showcase, we'll be running with damage and the optimized tree. But yeah, so to drill in a little bit about these concept of floating points, the idea with this build would be eventually, I believe, to go into an acrobatics tank, at which point we'd probably want to sacrifice these points here, put them into more evasion, make sure we can get acrobatics while holding somewhere between a 75 and 80% evasion. That would feel very, very good, but to do that we would have to sacrifice, I believe, a little bit of damage. So there's going to be some gear dependency there to make sure we can make that switch nicely. That will be the next iteration of this build, and probably the time this passive tree gets a significant update. That's the passives. Let's take a little look at the skills, because I think they interact more with where we might consider these floating points. So I'll just bring that together at the start of the skills section next. On the skills, we start with Infused Weapon, which is what we're getting from our tree over here, and the concept of this floating set here up to Maim. So at the moment we are running Culling Strike in Infused Weapon. We're also running Barrage, and Barrage has a support called Murderous Intent, which can give its buffed skill Culling Strike. So you can use Barrage to apply Culling Strike to a specific attack. I find that really, really clunky. But if you don't find that clunky, you can run Murderous Intent here instead of Arcane Tempo. You can run Maim instead of Culling Strike in Infused Weapon. Then you can drop these 3 points and you can distribute them where you want. If you want to go full damage with those, grab the more crit bonus nodes. There's a couple lurking around. There's 2 here at Cooked and 1 here. If you want to grab more defense, I'd start working around towards Immaterial. So you can come up and grab like Agility, spend a couple of points there and just push yourself up to about 91% evasion. So we're sitting at 89 at the moment, but we can certainly push that higher. Right, we'll talk about the skill gems as well that we're using here as part of the gearing section, because this is kind of like what costs money, right? Cool. Character. Inventory. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? So, on our weapon, synergize with Penetrate. We have got a really high accuracy weapon. Now, you might be like, why is there a crit damage bonus in there? The crit damage bonus makes the on-sheet DPS in-game go down slightly, but once everything is running, once all of your shock is in place, once all of your crit effects are in place, then the crit damage bonus actually slightly outweighs the accuracy rune for this particular weapon. You need to sim it. I would say the safe and cheap option is just using an accuracy rune. What you're looking for really for this build is big crit chance, big hit crit chance. You want decent fizz damage. Seagull Spear is actually going to get you here reasonably cheaply. Get some extra stats and things on it, so that's great. Attack speed and crit damage bonus would be really nice, but then you're actually looking at a very high investment weapon. Something like this, you might be able to pick up for between 1 and 2 divines if you keep your eye on the market. Might be a slightly lower on the accuracy rating, but something like this is more than good enough to get through a lot of the end game content. Might even carry us through to tier 4 of a lot of things. You'll see when we see the single target on King of the Mists. On the helmet, now, I'm in two minds here about exactly what to do with the helmet. I'm running full evasion because, again, acrobatics, but you could run a very high energy shield helmet here. Boost this shield up by quite a lot, so keep your eye on the market for either. And then on your anoint, I'm running Storm Charged at the moment, which is over here, gives us a fair bit more damage. It's the best damage node on the tree, actually, what we could anoint when simming anyway. I think Lightning Rod might outstrip it slightly, but not worth the cost. If you ran a full ES helmet, though, then you can run Subterfuge Mask, get all that evasion back while still getting that effective hit point pull from the helmet. That's probably going to be the best gearing choice going into endgame and for really optimizing, but I think that's going to push the price up. You can get an evasion base relatively cheaply comparatively, get some life on that. Chaos resistance rarity, you can actually pick something like this up really, really cheap, like Exalts or a Divine, because most people are wanting the ES the ES ones at the moment. We can make do without. Now, next is the one unique that we're building around. You really do want 45 spirit on this if you can. We are going to talk about options in the skill section. If you can't get to the required 320 spirit for this build at the moment, there are options, and the options are not bad at all, so don't worry. 45 spirit will help you get there. This unique means we don't need to run any penetrate, but any bosses, all bosses take the same damage because we crit all the time with the boss killing ability, and our damage is just stable against any boss. That's it. The one unique we need. That's why we're using it. It's Sunder My Enemies for us. In our offhand, you're going to want a Scepter. This is actually the most expensive part of the build. If you've got a 45 neck, then you need a 175 Scepter to fit everything in. If you can't get a 175 Scepter, you won't be able to run Trinity support. However, honestly, don't run Trinity support. It's okay. Slight damage loss. It's not massive, and you can run a slew of support auras instead. 135 is the minimum you'd want to go, and I'm going to talk about what support auras you run if you don't get the 175. So let's go into the skills more. The only thing, as I said, the only thing you need is the spirit. You want to probably get some intelligence on this as well, just to boost up the stats, but you just want those two stat lines there. Run a discipline one. It'll give you 250 extra energy shield. If you think if you've got more energy shield from elsewhere, maybe you are running Subterfuge Mask, then you could actually run a Malice one here for the critical weakness. We're already running 100% crit chance, so I don't think the critical weakness one is necessary. Strongly recommend Discipline, 250 energy shield, you won't regret it. On the chest, evasion rating. Evasion rating, evasion rating, evasion rating. You need resistances, grab some of course, but evasion rating is the key. If you can get evasion rating with a bit of life, that's nice, but this thing gets doubled by Bestial Skin, and this is what's giving us all of our... This is what's going to be carrying us into the end game goal of an acrobatics tank, so I would strongly recommend going for that evasion chest for that reason. On your rings, if you can get damage lines like plus flat fizz or plus flat lightning, that's great. Max life's basically imperative, and you want to get your resistances sorted out. Same with the other ring. If you can get flat fizz, if you can get flat lightning, amazing. Get flat life as well, amazing. Distances, though, most important things. On your gloves, we are actually now doing enough damage to not have to run the Electrocute gloves. We can proliferate Electrocute in maps with Herald of Thunder, and we just deal without it for bossing. Therefore, we can specialize into a decent set of gloves. You can get a lot more evasion here, more resistances, more life, or you can roll decent damage rolls here. These, again, can get plus flat fizz, plus flat lightning, which is going to give you a huge damage bonus if you can get it. Those are the expensive items, though, but keep your eyes out for those lines. Most important thing, life, distances, high evasion. Accuracy is good damage for us as well. They come in quite cheap, so keep your eyes out for those. On the boots, you want as much movement speed as you can get, and I'm opting for evasion rating and energy shield boots because it gives just enough energy shield for us to get to what I think is enough EHP to not get one shot for the content that we're doing, which is fine because we don't get hit that often because of the amount of evasion. So we just use ES boots. But honestly, you could probably mix and match which ones of these do which. No, because the ES value on gloves is really low. So I would recommend ES EV boots and then EV only gloves, and then you should be able to get to decent evasion. And on your belt, utility belts are the best because the 20% of the flask recovered instantly lets you have a no shit button if you do get hit. Life, strength, resistances. Belts are going to be changed soon so that they get more charm slots implicitly based on their level, which is their item level up here, not the required level. I hope that's being applied retrospectively because I ignored charm slots because of that, but maybe just wait. Anyway, but you can get a belt like that, it's super cheap. Then looking at the gems, jewels, this is where I've got quite lucky with mine. This would push the budget up a little bit, but you don't need 3 lines on any of them, you can get away with 2. What you want to be looking for is stuff like damage with spears, critical hit chance for attacks. I would recommend taking 1 sapphire with mana on kill. I'm fortunate enough that we've got life per enemy killed on one of my rings, so I could get away without the 1% life on kill. The ring is actually double that. So, but you want one with mana on kill, elemental damage, maximum energy shield. Those are good lines. You can also get crit bonus and crit chance on the sapphires, but they're super expensive. So I'd recommend just focusing on mana on kill just to smooth out the mapping experience there. And on the last one, it's just another emerald, but to show some of the other lines. Critical damage bonus for attack, spears, attack damage. Anything really, spears, attack damage, critical is going to do you well on the emeralds. You can even get some more evasion rating on them if you want. But I'd recommend focusing those on damage. We've only got 3 jewel slots because they took all of our fun jewel slots away. So make the most of them if you can. That's the gearing. That's where the divines are spent. So total spent on this build is around 15. It's under, I think, about 13. It was a little bit more than that because I was playing around with lightning rod. We've since taken lightning rod off, so we'll just pretend I never wasted divines on testing that out. Don't use lightning rod. It's not better than storm charged. It's about 20 times the price. Right. Let's talk about these skills, how they're used. So we'll start off talking about the optionality with the skills. If you can't afford the 175 scepter, so these are about 4 or 5 divines, most expensive item in the build, you can get 135, and these are about 20 exalts. Choice, malice, discipline. I prefer discipline. Get the stats, get the spirit. What you would need to change if you can't run that is you can swap out Trinity. You just can't run Trinity. You can run something like Thunderous Leap to give yourself a mobility skill instead, which is fine. But you can drop in auras such as, I like to run Cannibalism, Herbalism, Warm-Blooded, and Clarity. That seems fine to me. Warm-Blooded is really nice. You can then, in fact, if you can get 15 more spirit, I'd definitely suggest Warm-Blooded. Half the freeze duration's great. But that's what you want to swap out, is the Trinity skill if you can't get the extra spirit, because it's the smallest damage bonus and the least utility of all of the additional spirit costs, and you just replace it with some other use. That's nice. However, going on the basis that you've managed to grab yourself one of these scepters, don't accidentally buy one with the skeletons. Guys, please don't. The skeletons don't do anything. Please, I made the mistake. Don't do it. Right. Skills. Starting off, Infused Weapon. So Infused Weapon we run kind of like Charged Staff in a similar way. It's very much a support skill. We're running this with Lightning Exposure, Strip Away, Culling Strike, Blind, Induction. It's that Culling Strike that you might swap for Maim based on if you're doing some optionality on the tree around where those Maim nodes are. Next up we got Cast on Critical. This only needs to be a 4 slot. It applies Sniper's Mark for us in single target. Profusion, so we sometimes get additional charges from the Sniper's Mark. Impetus, so we get more energy, and Inspiration, so it doesn't drain all our mana. Next up we got Lightning Spear, so we use this to clear mobs and to do sims. These are in priority order of what you should take, so if you can only get a 4 slot, then drop off twofold. But fork. Now the spears don't fork themselves, but the lightning bolts that come off of them do, and they go everywhere. You want to be running fork. Bullseye gives the most damage. Perpetual Charge. This is really nice for mapping. It just means you can always throw empowered spears pretty much. Primal Armament for 25% more weapon elemental damage, and twofold. Twofold is just nice. Sometimes it does double damage. It's nice. Kills rares. Pretty good. Next up we've got our Boss Buster. This is Stormlance. So when you're fighting a boss, you just throw these at their feet. You run around, you dodge their abilities, you throw these at their feet, and then as long as you can dodge their abilities for long enough, they die. And the speed of their death should rapidly increase as we gear this thing up. Anyway, we take scatter shots, we throw 3 out at once. It says 35% less damage, but you're throwing 3 spears, so it's actually 195% more damage. Lightning Infusion gives it the most bonus damage. Deliberation gives it the next most bonus damage. Yeah, okay, it's kind of annoying to have that 30% movement speed when in boss fights, especially if you're trying to throw and run, but damage is significant. It really is. Overextend to give us 30% more critical damage bonus. We can handle being dazed. And Pinpoint critical. This is what takes it up to 99.67% crit chance, which means every single hit ignores every boss's elemental resistance because of the synergy with our neck, which means the damage is really consistent. You could probably take a note. There's probably a skill gem out there that makes this number bigger. What makes number bigger is everything being a crit and everything doing the same damage profile. That's what makes it consistent. So Pinpoint critical gives it that. Really does feel good. However, if you have to drop one, drop that. In fact, no, if you have to drop one, probably drop the Liberation. I've changed my mind. If you have to drop one, drop the Liberation, because that just it adds a bit of it's a lot of damage, but the utility is not nice. Whereas this adds a lot of damage, but it's like under the hood, not this number here damage. So I'd recommend skills in that order. Next up, Herald of Thunder. This is how we're dealing with our electrocute now. So it starts to deal, and it was about the 4,500 number on here that I've started to find it could electrocute well in a Delirium 27% map. I must say, this number it struggles in tier 1 Sims towards the later waves to proliferate electrocute. We all know that Sims is pretty rough. Got that showcase coming up. Anyway, in Herald of Thunder, we're going to be running Elemental Focus, Innovate, Electrocute, and Neural Overload. Electrocute and Neural Overload work together to make sure it... Next up, we've got Wind Dancer with Unbreakable in it. Close Combat. I'm really sure Unbreakable works particularly well, but anyway. Close Combat and Magnified Effect. These two sound like they wouldn't work together, but it just seems to kill everything anyway. I needed some skill gems to put in there. That was fine. Does a bit more damage if you do get hit. We don't get hit very often. Next up, we got Barrage. This is a particularly useful skill when it comes to Sims, but I wouldn't use it before you cast Stormlance. So what it does is it empowers, so it kind of acts like Scattershot, but it empowers an ability to have the Scattershot effect, and it doesn't reduce the damage as much, and yeah, it's got some buffs that it can use to empower the ability even more. So you put Premeditation in it for 15% more damage, Inhibitor so that this thing can't consume your Frenzy charges because you don't want it to, you just want it to give the damage buff. I put Arcane Tempo in this just because I like to get the cast time up a bit faster for Sims, and Ingenuity so I can use it more often. I'm basically using it for 15% more damage, but on Lightning Spear only. Use it just to buff Lightning Spear, because you only throw one spear. With this, you throw 3 spears, and then the second 2 do 45% less damage, but you end up doing effectively Scattershot with 190% damage, and then 15% more damage, so you end up doing 212.5% more damage or something on your Lightning Spear, which can then also get 2-folded, which means you can actually do like about damage with a Lightning Spear if it all comes together, and you hit one target, it can be really good. However, with Stormlance, because we use Scattershot, when we use Barrage, and you can only have 4 spears in the floor, when we use Barrage, we throw 9 spears, and I'm pretty sure it's the spears that have 100% damage that don't end up in the ground. So you end up with the crappy 45% damage, 55% damage spears in the ground, and it does a lot less boss damage. Pretty sure that's how that's working. So I'm just using it to empower Lightning Spear and not Stormlance, because it seems to make Stormlance work a lot worse. Now, one thought I had was to remove Scattershot and run Barrage. The flow of combat feels really bad. Bosses move around. If they move around, you want to throw a new set of Stormlances literally underneath their feet. You don't want to wait till Barrage is up to get your Stormlances out and doing damage. So it just doesn't feel good with bosses. It just doesn't. It does feel very good with Lightning Spear, however. This is one of those skills that if you're happy with Lightning Spear as is, then I'd swap it, but going into a map, pressing Barrage, throwing Lightning Spear, you get charges straight away. Same thing in Sims, it really does feel good. So next up, we got Trinity. Now, this works differently in Path of Exile 2 than it does Path of Exile 1. In Path of Exile 1, you would have had to have, I believe, some of all the elements to get Trinity to trigger, whereas now you don't. You just need 50 resonance. You can hold up to 300 resonance, and if you had all 300 resonance filled, then you would get, quick math, 78% more elemental damage. We're only doing 1 elemental damage type as the max on any attack, although I think there's possibly a way to weave in fire again. It's still 26% more elemental damage because we just maxed the lightning one up straight away. It's 26% more damage. He has 100 spirit for 26% more damage. But when you consider we're already holding a scepter in our offhand, and we're not going for a 25 divine stretch unique here, that's 26% extra damage. Pretty small investment. Quite nice. I think it's worth it. And you just socket Fire, Cold, and Lightning Mastery in it, and then it goes up to 13% with all three of them in there from a level 19 gem. So it's nice. 2% more damage. Then we got one of our defensive abilities here. We got Ghost Dance. This is good. Get hit, your energy shield just fills right up. It actually already heals us for 1,587. So it definitely fills our shield every time we get hit. Run that with fast forward so that we get Ghost Shrouds generated a bit faster. And the only support aura we're running with the 280, so you can technically fit this at 310 with a 165 Spirit Scepter. But I really think that dropping Precision would be a bad idea. So Precision's the one support aura we run. It doesn't have to be in Ghost Dance, you can put it wherever you want. And last up, Combat Frenzy. This is so we generate charges when electrocuting things using Herald of Thunder in maps. It generates as charges. Hooray for charges. Charges make bigger spear. Speaking of big spears, let's go show mine off. Let's start off the showcases then with a key. Something nice and easy, something this is basically designed to do. Just go into keys, farm breaches, and just generate you currency. We will obviously do a couple of other showcases. We're going to do a single target against a tier 2 King of the Mists, because I need to do that one, and Zeshik keys are really expensive. And a tier 1 Sims to demonstrate this thing's survivability this early into the league, while still in a very, very narrow budget. It's got a lot of scope for a lot more defenses. This thing is going to go all the way to tier 4 Sims, and it's going to do it with its arse hanging out, believe you me. Anyway, keys. I mean, waystones. I call them keys all the time because I'm plumb. But you come into them and they look like this. This one's Seepage. It's possibly one of the worst, and it's got a horrible name. Oh, there's our boy. We're going to see a lot more of you later, mate. Don't tie yourself down now, buddy.
Divine.
Oh, what a drop. What a player. More of those, please. This is a juiced up map. We've got all of the juice. We've got all of the pack size, all of the rarity, all of the quant. We are playing fast and loose with the loot. So hopefully we see some more. I've got a very strict filter on. I'm going to check up in corners and stuff just to make sure we're not missing any sneaky breaches. It will show us them later, of course. Also, just because it's so fun, even in maps like this, because the lightning spear bounces off of walls, it's really fun. It chains off of the walls, man. They're coming out the walls, man. This build is an absolute blast, and there's loads of variants, and there's some real like high budget variants from people as well, using some crazy chase uniques. But this is sort of the let's just do the content without breaking the bank build, right? You know, make the money for the chase unique, so you can go, look at number, look how big number go strong, number big. You know, number big enough right now, right? Never quite big enough though, is it? Never quite satisfies. Never quite gets that itch, as they say. I don't know who they are, but they say it. They say it loud and proud. We missed an exalt. That's sacrilege of the highest order. In fact, you could say it's tantamount to heresy. A nice waystone. Nice checkpoint. Let's bust this open. Let's crack a breach, guys. Hopefully some breach enemies spawn. They've spawned again. She spawns later in this video as well. She spawns quite frequently. I didn't necessarily record it in this order. I feel like this is a bad breach and a bad map for breach. I mean, we're getting plenty of rares, I suppose. Oh, the other thing there. But this is why the slower opening breaches are better. I think the fast opening breaches don't give you time to explore in maps like this, and it makes them much worse than they actually are. I mean, that's wasn't bad, I suppose, considering the map. Have a quick. That was the only breach we got in this map. I've opted for the extra hands with magic packs because the catalysts are worth quite a bit at the moment, and I don't want to deal with the Waking Nightmare, but they quite often deal a catalyst or two. Certainly have higher drop rates for the splinters, and it spawns more hands, which are a reasonably reliable way of getting splinters, instead of having them open and close faster with more density. 10% density doesn't seem worth it for how much it makes maps like this hard to even get around the breach. You're running around the maze that is the map. So yeah, pretty shit map for breach. Still managed to get 24 splinters. It's okay. In the breach in a map like this, it's probably like a C or a D tier breach map. You see, it's quite happily one-shots rares. Groups of delirium monsters, not a problem. We're constantly running around with frenzy charges, although in Sims, I would say we probably need some more electrocute chance. Much the same as shock cards, those things are just jonky. Jonky boys. But there you go. Blizz maps, super fast, don't even break a sweat. Let's go show it in some of the endgame content, show that this thing's capable of getting your Atlas cleaned up, all of your points unlocked. Right, let's get the tier 2 some nothingness done then. Show this single target. He does one shot, it's, of course, this much health. Didn't expect much less. Red is keep moving. Oh no, red is stop. Purple is keep moving. It's going to send us to the nether realm now anyway. Modifier is inbound. What are the spirits? Ooh. No, I know you can save and quit. I know. Ooh. There it is. There it is. Time for big King in the Mist time. Starts doing some pretty scary shit now. There we have it. Tier 2 boss. Done with relative ease. Not much of a problem at all. There's our Book of Knowledge 3. Oh, and lovely. One of the greatest belts known to man. We've got to at least check that, haven't we? Should we see if it's any good? See if it's any good? Well, at least rolled +2 charm slots. And... yay! There you go, guys. That's its single target. Let's show this thing off in Sims. The real challenge. The real test of a build. And let's take this thing to Sims. So it'll be a tier 1 Sims. Only just started doing Sims on this character. We did one the other night. Pretty sure it should be okay with tier 1. Let's find out together. Oh, look. Oh, look at that. I've explored enough of the Atlas that this bug's back. Amazing. Fantastic. Excellent. Into the Sim we go. 4 portals. 15 waves. I think we're probably a one-shot to Osmosis if he jumps on us. I know his name's not Osmosis, but I think that name's a better name for him anyway. Let's go. G-Web's here, ready for the danger. Tail straight to mouth. Cat modifier added to the sim. I'd like to see. It's got frozen there. Good. We are running a mana on kill gem, but not quite doing enough. Not enough enemies spawning. There's not enough enemies spawning. I can't believe I just said that. We need more. We need more for bigger explosions. I'm going to be regretting those words later. But the more enemies there are, the more frenzy charges we build up. So, the more frenzy charges we build up, the faster we kill all the enemies that spawn. So, they kind of help themselves. We have indeed taught them to fish. So this character will eventually be going acrobatics, I believe, which should get us through all of Sims. At least that is the dream, the hope and the dream. I have a dream, and it is acrobatics. Tank style I've never tried, but we're very close, which is a couple more levels. So. Unfortunately, Sims no longer gives us experience, of course, so there's that slight problem. If things start to get hairy, we can throw down a scary spear. It will keep things off our back. We also use Scary Spear for dealing with Osmosis and Kosis.
Craft action.
Love that shit. Will. And on to the next zone. So we're making it through. We're making it through. We're getting hit. Uses our stun charm. We want a 3-slot stun charm. This is Sims. That has not changed. Got jumped on. Stun charm. Came in clutch. Couple of hits. That's some unlucky proximal tangibility. Oh no. We're still stunning reasonably effectively. Or not stunning. Electrocuting. Even without taking the node on the 3, our damage is just enough to still electrocute. Although we might want those nodes for a harder Sims difficulty, to be fair. There he is. Big boy himself. I find the trick is with this character, just don't be standing still. I'm not really a big fan of the rower. I get stunned off it all the time. Probably a skill issue, you know. But I'm not a big fan of the rower, especially not in Sims. It seems like it would be a very bad idea to get heavy stunned all the time. Or even at all. Overcharge our lightning spears as well. An overcharged lightning spear does about half of Kosis' health. That's not even our boss buster, that's just the normal lightning spear.
Nice spear.
And we go to the next wave. I start to get a little bit sweaty as we fail to see monsters burrowing out of corn. Children of the corn. Corn children. That was a big whiff there. Yeah, it's a slightly different playstyle to how I used to play with the monk. The monk I'd just be putting bells down and destroying. This time I'm actually having to kind of aim. I have to think of it. I know we're a squishy glass cannon, so erring on the safety, erring on the side of caution with playing. Sorry, I'll mute that bit, hopefully. Number wank. Okay, damage is starting to come in now. Ground is on fire. With this amount of movement speed, as long as we're moving, they jump and we're not there. It allows us to sort of dodge the stun, so that the defense comes in multiple layers. The first defense is the fact that we kill things very quickly, without really having to think about it. The second one is not being there, and the third one is our evasion, which is kind of like not being there, but the game rolling a dice for it with it. When that's acrobatics, that's going to be even better. We are going to be absolutely on fire. Although boss killing might be a little slow. We'll probably sort that out with a little bit of interesting creating maybe a better weapon. You know, a little bit of investment. At the moment, we're still way under. We're about 15 divines invested on this character. Everything was made from farming, aside from some gambles and some other poor choices, like testing out lightning rod. Although I'm glad I tested it. Although I don't think I needed to. Now we're starting to get some scary shit happening. We've got the lightning boys. They're coming to play. Shoebabe's adding some cat modifier in just at the time when it's starting to get serious. Just touch me with her little paw. This is the serious wave. This is where business starts to happen. We rammed in tight, right in the back package. Back package? Taking a back package in the back passage? I don't know. Definitely not that. It might be in a minute though, if Kosis and Osmosis spawn. Omniphobia. There he is! We just deal with him with that overwhelming firepower. Some loot. We'll take it all really. I mean, it's all loot. It's all like level 81 craft loot as well, but ain't nobody got time for that. We're not crafters, we're farmers. Honest work, boys. That's what it's all about, the honest work. Build the build with the rares and do the honest work. All temporal bubbles are not pleasant. It's right though when you're dodging, as long as you don't get slammed and stunned, you're going to be like pretty good. There he is. That boy. Chaos incoming. Deal with it. I actually kind of need a new shield, a new potion. Mine's really bad. I think that's like I need a bit better. I mean, they're both pretty bad. I think that one's a bit better for ratio. Hey, wait, that's got life and... Oh, what am I doing? Keep that one around. That could be perfect for us. Be the start of something beautiful. Okay. Rocky start there, boys. Rocky start. That's what health's for. It's not for that. Hello, Omniphobia. I'll take some damage. Apparently he didn't want to take any damage. Yeah, that's what pulls are for. I didn't say it was going to be easy. We got brutalized. That opening salvo without the frenzy charges, you need to make sure you open up with barrage. Important, I think. Otherwise you get swamped. Keep on the move. Especially when the boys are out. Like all of this? Do you want all of it? Maybe later. Look at that. Hold up. I guess sort of like a double hit for the double frenzy. And we're all frenzied up. Now we can just hopefully just blast. I feel like Kosis is a bit of a meanie compared to Osmosis.
Believe me, you will.
Oh, frenzy charges. Huh? I was saying about maybe wanting to run the electrocute nodes for Sims specifically. So you electrocute a bit better and generate some better frenzy charges. That would be about it. But yeah, capable. Mild skill issue from me in wave 13 there, not opening up with barrage. You do need to use barrage to make sure that you're doing enough damage to break with lightning spear, especially when you don't have frenzy charges at the start of the waves. But it is capable of tier 0, tier 1 sims, which means you're capable of farming these things, which at the moment is selling rather well and rather profitable. So we got a closed helm. Of course we got a closed helm. But that's the build. So that's it in a map. That's it in sims. Its single target is okay. It's not great. You have to do the boss fights properly, but its clear is really, really good. So it's really good for farming. I would imagine with some investment, we can get that boss damage up significantly as well, because this is going to scale off elemental, crit. It's going to scale off of better weapons. I've got rings that don't add any damage at the moment. I've got gloves that don't really add any damage. We could probably move away from the neck and into a more damage-focused neck with proj skills. There's options for how we can scale this character, but for a week's investment, about 15 divs, it's going to get you through the game. It's going to get your Atlas unlocked. It's going to get you doing pretty much whatever content you want, just maybe with a bit of a sweat on your brow, that's all. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Next iteration will be it running with acrobatics, which I think is going to clean up that sweat, and we can just take our time and have a nice time. But I hope to catch you in the next video, or indeed on a live stream. I'll be live streaming my farming for the next week, so I hope to catch you there. Have a good one.